This is the Cold Show coming to you weekly. Black and blue attack on the blitz will quickly. Carolina Panthers since 1995. Keep pounding till the day that we die. Protect the bank, this is our Queen City. Tell the haters ice up the setting, 9 teams 50. JC Horn locking up, that's our seatbelt. Derrick Brown no come down, that's how we felt. NFC South is always the villains. How you gonna stop Bryce to McMillan? The future is now, this our division. Carolina Panthers get ready for collisions.
I got lost in the sauce. Hello, people. Welcome to the Cole Show and welcome to the Blue and Black Attack Podcast. I am your host, Cole. This evening, I am here with my boys, Jacob. Jacob, how you doing this evening, sir?
I am doing pretty good. It's been an up and down day, but I'm in here with you boys that automatically makes it better. And, we got a little bit to talk about tonight, so I know it's going to be a great show.
Yes, sir. We got multiple things we're going to go over this evening. I'm excited about both of those. It's February, but there is a lot of stuff going on with the news, and then we are currently watching the Combine right now. First off, we're going to talk about the most important thing to me, even more so than the Combine, and that's Dan Morgan, D's. We're going to watch this video you got coming up for us. What's going on with Dan?
Well, let me tell you the main thing going on with Dan, and you've been talking about it for 2 weeks. If people would listen to what the Blue and Black Attack has been putting out over the past 2 weeks, you would understand after listening to some of these Dan Morgan pressers, and there was 3 different ones. We're going to cover one tonight out of the 3, that the Blue and Black Attack has been all over the core values of the Carolina Panthers. We're aligned correctly to what Dan Morgan is wanting to do, and we've been trying to tell you guys what direction this Panthers team is going. And there's a lot of noise out there telling you different things to get you distracted and looking at the wrong people that might be upcoming in this draft and in free agency. But if you'll tune in to the Blue and Black Attack, and I want to thank each and every one of our subscribers, y'all fantastic subscribers who always show up, always listen, always participate in the live, always like the videos. I know who each and every one of you are. But to everyone else, we need your help. Make sure you tune in to the Blue and Black Attack. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you cut on those notification bells so you'll know when Panther Pickle and the Cole Show is live each and every week. We want to have some fun talking about some Carolina Panthers football. And tonight we're going to talk about our GM, Dan Morgan, and what he had to say. And then we're going to rub everybody's nose in it about how just right we were all along. It's going to be a great time, Cole.
Panther Pickle, my friend, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm all right. I'm going to alliterate a little bit on what D said.
Go ahead.
Let me explain something to some of y'all. The reason why we want you to hit that like and that subscribe button. See this ad over here? We want to get rid of it.
Please.
We are trying to get ourselves in a situation on this podcast that we can elevate us in the streaming service tiers. Okay. We are using eMux because it allows us to distribute our podcast to 2 different sources. We can be on Twitter and YouTube. The free version of StreamYard doesn't allow you to do that. And this eMux is better than Restream. And, we're sort of stuck. That's the reason why we're asking you to do that. We don't have a way you can donate. We're not asking for donations. Maybe we'll have that in the future, but we just need to like and subscribe. If we can build our subscriptions up, then we can get ourselves maybe in a better situation to do that. That's the reason why we're asking you that. Okay, so we're not just clicking for likes for the algorithm. That does help the algorithm, but we absolutely would love to get in a higher plane that we can get rid of the logos, that we can get provide a better podcast than what we're doing. We're doing the best we can. We appreciate all those of you who are loyal and you subscribe and you like and you watch us every week. And we have a lot of folks that will actually watch us every week, but they don't like and they don't subscribe. And I know if you're on a cell phone, you have to exit or drop it down to like it, and then sometimes if you're on a computer and you're in a full screen, you have to bump it down. I understand
It's
all
easy
that.
to forget.
Yeah, I really do. And if you have it set to play, and a lot of times I might be in the kitchen or on the grill and my headset's on and one video ends and another one picks up. I'm sure that's where that's going out too. We just wanted to let y'all know this is the reason why we keep asking for that. Jake, what's up, bro?
I'm just chilling, man. Like Pickle just said, we're not only trying to do this for ourselves. We're trying to make this a better podcast, more importantly, experience for y'all. So besides that, thank everyone that's been doing it on a weekly basis too. Truly, thank you.
That's good stuff, Jacob. I'll just kind of end on the same sentiment y'all are. We understand it's the off season, like we really do, but we're going to get you through this. We do this for ourselves and you. We're going to try to keep it as current as we can. We're going to work hard. We're going to put out shows every single week. And right now, I mean, there are definitely things to talk about. I'm really looking forward to this Dan Morgan conversation we're getting ready to have. Deez, whenever you're ready, my friend, you can go ahead and start that up.
Yep, we're gonna jump right into it here, and let's all discuss together. Good amount of people watching. What you feel about these comments from Dan Morgan?
Couple times about edge and off-ball linebacker. Is there a sense that there might be more bang for the buck at 19 for one of those positions more than the other?
Maybe. I think there'll be a linebacker there we like. There'll be an edge that we probably like there too. So we just really got to weigh that with free agency and just kind of see like how it goes in free agency. And then, I think you always adjust your plan based off, what you did in free agency. But that's not to say that we wouldn't double dip at a certain position, whether edge or linebacker or both.
Knowing that you invested though in outside linebacker this past year, is that putting middle linebacker at all over that as far as priorities right now?
No, I don't think so. I think, again, it's just about getting the best players. And, if we feel like the best player is another edge rusher, I don't think you can ever have too many edge guys. So that's kind of the stance we're taking right now.
Dan, you've been so measured in the last 2 years in terms of this rebuild. As you get closer to where you want to be, how do you stay patient and sort of maintain that approach?
Yeah, I mean, we're aligned in the building. We have a plan. We're going to stick to that plan. We're going to stay disciplined. That doesn't mean we're not going to be aggressive and take swings, but, we're going to be smart. We're going to be calculated in what we do in our approach. I think between myself and Brant and Coach Canales, we're always talking about the roster and ways to get better. And, we do have to stay smart and disciplined, but again, that doesn't mean we're not going to be aggressive.
Legit work in year two.
Are you meaning in free agency or overall?
Yeah, I think, free agency, draft, like we did last year, we traded up in the draft when we felt like a player could help us out. And in free agency, same thing. I think you've seen in my 3 years that, in free agency, we're going to get the best players. We're going to try to get the best players and be aggressive when we see fit.
You've been so outspoken about getting youth at quarterback behind Bryce. What are your conversations like with Andy? Where are you guys at from the standpoint of having Andy involved in the plan? Yeah,
I think, I think with not just Andy, but with all the players, I try to stay, honest and transparent with, our plans, and no different with Andy. Andy knows he's going to have to compete. We are going to try to bring somebody in here. I don't know who that is, whether through free agency or the draft or, again, both. You never know. So I'm in constant communication with Andy. We've talked multiple times, and, he's aware of the plan, and we'll see what happens.
Depending on who you were to bring in, could that end Andy's tenure with you?
You know, I think
I hope
it's
so.
really up to Andy. You know, I think in terms
Andy,
of
go ahead
Andy
and retire,
competing, Andy's not afraid of competition. So
He
we'll
should
see. We'll see what happens in free agency.
He
We'll see
should
what
be.
happens in the
Right.
draft, and then we'll see how it plays out.
In talking about those linebackers, what's the number one priority in terms of what that guy needs to have, needs to bring?
I would say number one thing is standing
Allard.
in front of that huddle. All those 10 other guys are looking at you. I think that guy has to be a really good leader, somebody that the guys are going to follow, somebody that the guys are going to respect. And then obviously from a playing standpoint, you have to be instinctual, you have to be smart, you have to be tough, you have to be physical. Those are the type of guys we want to bring in here, and he's got to fit with our culture. He's got to be our type of guy.
With Cade, he's kind of had like an up and down.
All right, stop the video for a second.
He's hitting free agency. There's not really.
Let's talk about it before he gets into the
Like,
game maze.
comment,
I feel like this
and
is a good part to do it.
subscribe.
Please do that. If you don't do anything else, please like, comment, and subscribe to the video. That was perfect timing for that. What's going on to everybody in the chat? Thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you tomorrow. Thank you next week. Whenever you watch this, we're here for y'all. All right, let's talk about what we just listened to. I guess we'll start with the linebackers.
Need to.
I think
You were all over it, Cole.
inside linebacker is more important than outside linebacker, unless that outside linebacker is substantially better. If he's a little bit better, D's, I think I would still go inside linebacker. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, about the same. I mean, it depends on what falls, right? You can't let one of the best edge rushers on the board go past you. And Dan talks about that, about how we need to go ahead and take that position. Yeah, and also I see in the chat Anthony's talking about Devin Lloyd. I absolutely think the Panthers are going to pursue him this offseason.
I believe
just made a video about it yesterday.
I'm sorry. I believe we are, as much as we targeted Milton and should have paid that man. I'm sorry, we should have. But anyway,
we should have.
As hard as we targeted him, I think we need to target Lloyd. I think Dan needs to get, or maybe even the other guys. We need to get these guys we target. Dan wanted Patrick Queens once.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to pay him. He decided to go to the Steelers. I wonder how that worked out for him. Milton Williams took the money that the Patriots offered him, and no, I don't want to hear all the bullshit about how they treated him better. That was they showed love. Bullshit. When he said love, he meant money.
Right.
You got to be brain dead not to realize that. When he said they showed me love, in other words, they showed me more money than you did. We've got to get these guys here. Dan, open up that wallet. If
Pickle,
that means you got to cut somebody, cut them.
Pickle, if that is our lesson we learn by swinging and missing on Milton, but then we go get a solid linebacker like Lloyd, I think that's just a good learning experience.
Exactly.
Deez, what are your thoughts about everything Pickle just said? And then we'll get Jacobs.
I mean, I don't think there's anything more important than a linebacker position this offseason, other than left tackle. We're looking for offensive line help. Dan Morgan also stressed about how important it was to find offensive line help, and that was his number one priority on the offensive side of the football, just to add on to what Pickle was saying. But it's being linebacker. That's why we've been talking about linebacker prospects. We had a whole week where we dug through every top 10 of the linebacker class coming out this year. It's a deep class. There's a lot of options for the Panthers to take this year to rectify the situation. It doesn't mean that the guy's going to be a day one starter, but we might draft him and he comes in real close to being a day one starter, a guy that's barely behind somebody else and is competing at the position. I think that's what's really about to happen and what's about to play out, Cole. That's just what it looks like to me. And Pickle said it pre-show. Now, I think he just said it a minute ago. We're probably going to end up double dipping. There's going to be an edge guy, there's going to be a middle guy, or there could be two middle guys and an edge guy, or something like that, where it fits together in this draft. The picture's becoming clearer and clearer after these words that we've gotten from Dan Morgan this week, Cole.
Jake, that's kind of where I wanted to go with you. Deez was all over it. if we did no matter what we needed to do to get the linebacker we wanted in the first round and then go draft another linebacker later, this is hypothetically speaking that we're not getting Devin Lloyd, even though I'm almost at the consensus. I'm like everybody else. It's probably our best option and then draft one. How would you approach that situation?
I mean, you would have to do that. I mean, Devin Lloyd 100% should be our number one target going in
Sure.
free agency, without a doubt. But if that plan fails, I mean, you almost automatically have to double dip in the draft. You just got to. Uh, and there is a bunch of off the ball linebackers in this draft. There's quite a few middle linebackers as well. So I think uh, for the years that we've had a linebacker need, this is the draft to have that need, because there's so many really, really good linebackers in this draft that it's almost going to be hard to believe to miss out on a great linebacker. And double dipping is going to help even better, having a chance of getting a really, really good linebacker off the rip. And I'd love that.
Well, there is some really good linebackers
It is.
in free agency and the draft. And I'll just say this: if you miss out on Devin Lloyd because he has less of a character or the same size character Milton Williams has, when you make a promise, okay, I'm going to go to this team, then you go to that fucking team. To me, Milton Williams has a very bad character to make a promise he's going to a team and then pull out because somebody offered him more money. That shows me that you was raised with a poor character in your being.
Could that be his agent too, though, Pickle?
Okay,
but still, you can override your agent and say,
you
"Piss off, I'm taking this deal."
Yeah, say,
you
listen,
can.
if you promise me I'm going here, then I'm going here because I don't.
Because apparently something happened. Because all the damn writers wouldn't have said
and,
what the hell they did
it's
without some kind
what
of
a lot of
traction
veteran
to that.
players will tell a younger player, but younger players don't listen because they listen to their agent. Your agent doesn't necessarily have your best interest at heart. You are the boss of your agent.
Mm-hmm.
You know, many years ago, I listened to a guy who paid a folks to mow his yard, and they decided they didn't want it to mow it the way he wanted. They wanted to mow it the way they wanted to, and mow it when they wanted to. And if he didn't like it, that was his problem. And he said, okay, so he paid somebody else, and he canceled the check he gave him. This is many years ago when you pay somebody by a check. So he canceled the check. It didn't cost him nothing to cancel that check. That blew that out of the water. But there's a lot of different inside linebackers available. And I'll just Devin Lloyd is your top guy you want, but Devin Bush is an excellent inside linebacker, a cover linebacker.
Right. He's on the list. I promise. He's on the target list.
Yes,
he's got improved a lot over the years.
Now, a lot of people are higher on Jacoby Dean than I am. I just worry about his injury. But hey, he's a good linebacker. Leo Chanel, in my opinion, should be the number 2 free agent linebacker. So if you miss out on Lloyd, grab one of them other linebackers and get one in the draft. Don't wait till the 7th round. Get a guy in the draft that can start day one, or at very least can push Wallace for his job, because that's what we should do.
I hear that. All right, Deez, I'm going to get you to play the video in 1 second. I'm going to kind of walk us into this pickle. I do not want this to happen whatsoever, but hypothetically, if we lose Cade Mays, how high would you go to draft a center if we needed to, or would you try to snag one in free agency before Deez gets going with this video, and then we'll rock out? I know you're a balls guy.
I think you have to get one in the free agency and the draft. Listen, I love Cade, but unless you give Cade a 4 or 5 year deal, you have to take one in the draft regardless.
Mm-hmm.
And yes. We should have already did this.
This should have been handled. We've had this conversation too many times.
We already did this, but we didn't. So, and I can have that conversation with anybody who hits me up with it.
Go ahead, Jacob. What you got?
I was going to add on to it. As much as I've raved about this coaching staff, I think we kind of had a little bit of a drawback situation when it came to Cade Mays, man. That whole carousel situation with him and Austin Corbett, and I know injury had a part to do with it at one point, but they was already had that, it's going to be who wins the battle in before preseason and training camp and all that. It should have never been a battle. I think Cade Mays outright earned that spot, and he should have been a starter day one.
Well, the battle was an excuse. And I listen. I like I like Canales. I absolutely love Dan Morgan, but let's be real, that wasn't no battle. That was they
No.
realized that their backup left tackle sucked, or left guard sucked. The third string guy was no better, so they had to get Cade Mays to guard. So they said, okay, Corbett, you won. The center, Cade, go out to play guard. And then they thought, well, we'll sneak Cade on the practice squad because nobody
Just
wants
jerking him around. You're right.
And then he ended up with the Giants practice squad because Cade's like, fuck you, I'm going to the Giants. And then when Cade goes down, as we knew he would, then they reach out and get Cade off practice squad. He comes in, stars up. Cade Mays, I believe, is going to hit free agency. I believe he's going to be the second highest paid center
behind Linderbaum. Yeah.
Behind Linderbaum in free. Fact is, I'll be honest with you, I think at the end of free agency, he's going to be the third highest paid center in the league. Behind
and if you want to know
Kansas
more
City.
about the center position too, Pickle,
Right.
I just wanted to add that the whole Monday show Deal With
Right.
It was about the offensive line and the
Exactly.
center position. Make sure you watch episode 15. It's a fantastic episode.
It's
Anyway,
all
you finish
connected,
up.
my friends.
You were saying Linderbaum and who else now?
There's Linderbaum, Cade Mays. I can't remember the other thing.
I thought there was one more getting paid. I'm drawing a blank too.
Well, Pollock is going to be a free agent. He has experience with Canales. He has experience with all that system. The only problem is he is recovering from an injury, so he may not be ready by camp.
And that was the same as the Connor guy from the Bills, right? Didn't we talk
Right.
about that? Him coming off of ACL? Yeah. Wealth
Right.
of knowledge on Monday's show from
Right.
Pickle.
Right.
D's, I value
comment,
all of our
and
opinions.
subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe, please, and always share. Do your business for us. I value all of our opinions, but let's hear the man whose opinion matters most in the situation that leads our team into the future. Here's
A
Dan.
lot of center options on the market. How much do you have to kind of weigh how much you've invested in the other four positions as you kind of evaluate his situation?
Yeah, I think you definitely have to weigh that, in terms of the price. And, I think Cade, I'm sure his agent's meeting with people and figuring out what his market's looking like right now. And, once he figures that out, we'll reassess. And, we've been in constant communication with his agent. So, again, we'll see how it goes and see how it plays out. But Cade is a guy that we would want to bring back, if it works out for both sides.
And it sounds like, and at least with Rico and Cade, who are among are your top two ranks.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're not really prioritizing anyone in terms of letting them test the market first. Is that true with all of your free agents?
It is.
Okay.
It is. Yeah, they've earned the right to go out there and find the best deal for themselves. Do we want some of them back? Yes, we do. But again, they've earned the right to go out there and find a
I respect
bigger
that
deal.
opinion.
Seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, you haven't been asked about Bryce on the podium for 2 years.
It's a good thing.
I mean, I would say, what does that say to you, the fact that you're not being asked about that on the podium?
Yeah, I think it speaks a lot about Bryce and his maturity, the way that he's matured and the way that he's grown as a quarterback throughout his tenure. And he was definitely put in some tough situations, and we're starting to surround him with some weapons, and we'll continue to add to the offensive line to protect him. And he's just getting better and better every year. I'm proud of him, and he's doing great, and I think the future is really bright for him.
In your postseason press conference, you said y'all had like 600 players on your draft board.
Yeah.
I'm curious, how do you work through that? Has it grown, and then how do you work through that draft board as the week progresses?
It's actually shrunk now. So we've as you go through the process, you always start with a bunch of guys, and then you kind of whittle it down to your type of guys. Whether you take guys off the board for character reasons, or they're not a culture fit, or they're not a schematic fit. So yeah, like we've whittled our board down a little bit, and it'll keep kind of shrinking as we get closer to the draft. And it's a full process. It's a yearly process, and it's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun, and we're excited about the draft.
You said on a radio show, you didn't say it to us, but I think you said on a radio show you wanted to bring in potentially a yards after catch type of receiver. Is that someone you could take in the first round and go 3 years in a row?
That's a good question.
I'm not ruling anything out. I think it's one of those things, like I've told you guys from the beginning, we're not going to pass up on good players. And if that best player that's on our board is a wideout that has run after catch, then, so be it. But we're not going to pass up on good players.
And will you talk to Concepcion this week? Is he a guy that's on your board?
Yeah, I mean, we're very aware of him, along with, all the other receivers. It's a deep receiver class. There's a lot of talented
don't
guys
play
that
with
we're
my
excited
emotions,
about,
Dad.
We'll see where it goes.
This year, when you sign some guys, you put a lot of incentives into
I'm
those
not ready to push that
contracts.
narrative
You
yet,
guys had
Pickle,
success,
but I
they
will.
had success, including the playoffs. Why was that important to you guys? And is it a strategy you think now that you've made the playoffs that you'll continue?
Yeah, I think, Brant does a really good job of that. I do think it's a case-by-case basis. And, it's always good to put that type of stuff in there. Not that certain guys need incentives, but, it also doesn't hurt, that, you have a little bone kind of out there for you if you have success, if the team has success. So, yeah, I think it's something that Brant does a good job with, and I'm sure he'll do it if he sees fit.
Speaking of wideout, and Xavier had a pretty rough year. What have your off-season conversations been like?
They've been good. Xavier, he's hungry. He's hungry to go out there and play his best, and not to prove anybody wrong, but to prove himself right. I know he's motivated. He's going to put the work in this offseason like he always does. I'm excited for him. I think he's definitely taken a beating, from an outside perspective, but we have full belief in him, and I'm excited for him and his future.
No love from the reporters out there.
Yeah.
You mentioned at the end of the season press conference that you were going to go ahead and do the fifth-year option on Bryce. I think we asked you if you were looking at an extension at all. Is that anywhere in the plans right now?
Brant and I, we're still going through that along with Coach Canales. Like, we're still talking through strategy-wise, but I really don't have anything on that right now.
I think the answer is yes.
Imagine being able to build anything just by thinking.
Yeah, imagine that. I think the answer to that question is yes. I'm ready for Bryce to be the quarterback of the future. I just don't know at what number yet. That's my
Put
only
this
thing
in the
with that.
background, Pickle, real quick.
All right, I got you.
You're good.
I ain't got no premium YouTube, brother.
Yeah, I'm good.
You got to handle your business, do what you got to do. Cut the audio off.
So that was walking. My bad. I apologize, everyone.
Nah, you good. Oh, there was more to the thing. I thought it was over for some reason. Is there more?
Yeah, there's plenty more.
Okay, go ahead and play it. My fault. I thought it was over.
We're at 9:20. If you want to stop at 11 or 12, and then then we'll wrap it up at the end or whatever you want to do, brother.
Sounds good to me, homie.
You ready, Pickle?
Yeah.
Jake, you good? Rock out.
You want to throw that back up on the screen, Pickle?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's getting right. There we go.
Wanted to kind of take a step back and, be a head coach, if you want to say, to where, he's able to have his hand in both sides of the ball, and, he feels like Brad's ready to roll, and I have complete confidence in Coach's decision, and I'm excited for Brad, and I think he's going to do a great job.
He said that you guys don't always agree, but everyone is heard. He also admitted, his ego came into play a little bit in making this decision. Can you just talk about the trust that you guys have in each other to make a big decision like that?
Yeah, we definitely, we're not always going to agree on every little thing, and we shouldn't, and I think at the end of the day, like, we're always going to collaborate on everything. We're going to bounce ideas off each other. but at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best for the Carolina Panthers.
And they're all buddies,
that's,
too. They're
that's
all
our motto
friends.
and everything that we do.
They get along. It ain't a problem.
It's not about me. It's not about Coach Canales. It's about what's best for the organization. And, Coach feels like that's the best thing. And, I fully support him.
Dan, you've known Brad since he was, in grade school.
Yeah.
To see him be able to have this opportunity and have that perspective, how cool is that for you guys?
It's cool. I've known Brad for a while now, and, his dad, I worked with his dad out in Seattle, and he's super smart. He loves the game. He has a lot of good ideas, a lot of, things that I'm excited to kind of see come about. And that's not to put pressure on him, but I'm excited to see what he can do. And I know we'll take full advantage of the opportunity.
When you hired
Dan's his buddy. He just told you. Brad's his buddy.
You had familiarity with him, but it was also a big part of his success with quarterbacks, his offense. Will he be potentially able to impact Bryce in a different and or greater way in this role?
Yeah, I think so. When he's out on the practice field, he's usually, in his mic, talking to the quarterback and not necessarily harping on every little detail with Bryce and the rest of the quarterback room. So I think it's a good opportunity for him to kind of take a step back, kind of see the big picture of things, and again, be a head coach. I know he's excited about it. I know he has full confidence in Brad and Bevel and, those guys to go and attack it.
Can you tell us something about Brad from the early days that we don't know now that
I
might not want you to tell us?
I don't really know. I knew him when he was younger, but in terms of little things that you wouldn't know, it's probably the same stuff I don't know. So, yeah.
Bevel's a big piece of this. You have background with him too. How pivotal was bringing him in this offseason?
I think it's huge. I think when you can add a veteran with that much experience, and he has play calling history as well. So he's been in a lot of different offenses around the league. He's got to see a lot. So to have that glossary of information that he has in his brain about football, is going to be invaluable to, not just Brad, but the rest of the staff and Coach Canales.
Canales admitted that there were moments in looking back at the season where if he didn't have to focus on getting to the next play, maybe he could have affected the game in a different way.
Yeah.
In the moment, did you see kind of that and how that could have been a benefit to the team?
Yeah, I think so. There are times last year when, we're down and, there's really nobody there to be get the guys up on the sideline, and and that's Coach's superpower. He's a motivator. He gets the guys going, and so I think there was times where he definitely could have been useful in that way.
All right, guys, we got to break this down. They're going all through this offensive hierarchy and where these guys are. Y'all have got to find this interesting like I do. I see we're already getting comments about it. Just look right there at Bee's Knees in the comments. She's talking about she wanted Canales to step aside.
Right.
This is something that fans are happy about. They're glad that our head coach that we brought in because he was an offensive coordinator is stepping aside and letting Brad Idzik take over. And now I just learned that Dan Morgan knew Brad Idzik as a young man. I did not know that. I didn't know they were. I knew he was in Seattle, but I didn't know he had ties to him deeper than that. Did y'all know that Dan Morgan was under that GM for 7 years that just won the Super Bowl for the Seattle Seahawks, John Snyder? Did y'all know that? I just learned that today. We've got some ties, and all of our ties in the NFL revolve around Dan Morgan and his professional playing career with the Carolina Panthers. And this hierarchy we've got going on with Canales, Bevel, Idzik, and Dan is really interesting to talk about. Y'all got some thoughts on this? Because I've definitely got a few.
Yes. Brad Idzik's father was a GM for the Jets for many years. When he lost his job with the Jets, Brad was just a little feller. He actually did consultant work for Seattle, and that's how come Dan knew Brad. Brad was there as a child in the Seattle building watching all that develop. And then Uh, Brad basically went to work. He did some other jobs, and then he ended up going to work for the Panthers. You know, like I said, they're all connected. They're all connected. You got to remember Dan played in the NFL when Brad Isaac's father was a GM, and it's not unusual to have family and kids on the field together in the locker room and stuff as that. That's not unusual. We all know that as fans, as football fans. The fact that they all knew each other when they were little doesn't surprise me. I do like the move a great deal. Was having a conversation with Cody Lack on Twitter the other day about it, and Cody was upset about it, and I was expressing my situation. Where I said, "Listen, reality is when you hire an NFL head coach, you should not hire a guy because you don't want to go hire the best offensive coordinator or the best defensive coordinator. You should hire the best person to be your head coach, regardless if he's offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. And, if you decide you're going to hire an offensive minded guy, understand, does that guy have experience to do what you want him to do? The answer for Canales was no. Nobody, he didn't have enough experience to do that. But we, as an our owner was young as ownership himself and didn't know what he was doing. So everybody had to grow together. This is why, for a long time, the last couple of years, we've all said we have to give these guys time to develop. The owner developed into what he is now, which is an owner that lets everybody else do their job. He didn't
Facts.
start out that. We know that. Dan has to develop into a good GM. The throwing the drink situation Tepper was involved in. Um, Incidentally, they were discussing that on the uh,
The McAfee.
Matt
Pat
McAfee
McAfee.
show, and Dan admitted, he said, "Hey, I told the guy to shut the f up because he was making fun of a player who was laying on the field, who was making fun of one of our players who was laying on the field unconscious, and that made the guy irate, and that's when Tepper threw the drink. So, let's be let's be real. These are
I wouldn't buck up to Dan. I think if Dan
no,
told me to shut the
Absolutely
F
not.
up, I just sit down.
I
You
would
just
sit
sit
down and
down and
shut
look
the
the
f
other
up.
way and look
Yeah,
the other
but
way.
listen, y'all, I support Dan Morgan. Tell him all to shut the hell up. I
That's what
support
it
that.
takes.
No, and what's
Jacob.
wild, Cole, is the time we spent last week on Thursday talking about this
Mhm.
Daryl Bevel situation.
We
And
did.
that's what I'm saying. We've been on point. We told y'all that he
Hmm.
was here to support Brad
Yep.
Isaac and Dave
Right.
Canales as a
Right.
support system
Right.
guy, as a guy that has a routine, as a guy that's done this for so
Right.
many years to help these new guys that are starting to do it. And what's going
Right.
to happen, Cole? I can go ahead and tell you right now. What's going to happen is, guess what? We're going to start slow because we start slow every year because we're
No, don't do this to me again.
because
We
we're
can't be like this.
learning, and
We
everybody's
will.
going to jump
We
ship.
will.
Everybody's going to say fire Brad, and then we're going to figure it out and pick up momentum. I just can feel it in my bones already. I've watched enough seasons of the NFL to know who you start out as is not who you finish as, and I think that these guys have got a good working relationship, and some good things are going to come out of it in the long run. And we might have some bumpy roads on the way there. Cole, how do you feel about it?
I'm right there with you. Jake, let me get you in on this. Do you think that we're going to see Bevel kind of on a day to day, week to week with the game planning, with the play calls for Izzy? Because I think those two, they could be an interesting dynamic together. I think he's set up for a good situation. He's got a veteran presence in his ear. He's not going at this alone. Dave has a year or two of play calling, so it's not like Izzy doesn't have a good support system. Do you think we set him up for success?
I mean, we got to. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, this was Dave Canales' mentor. I mean,
Yes.
Bevel was his mentor. So, I mean, and you bring him here in here for some reason. I mean, you don't just bring him in here just to sit there and watch your team. You bring him in here to lean on for advice. I mean, Dan Morgan just said he's been in multiple systems. I mean, he's been on multiple teams. I mean, the dude he has knowledge, amounts and amounts of knowledge. I mean, why not go to that well, especially for a young offense coordinator? He's never called plays before. You got to lean on a guy like that. And I mean, I think he's definitely. I mean, just watching Izzik and a lot of sit downs with players. I mean, he seems like a guy who has no issues whatsoever going to a guy and asking him for information on or Just lean on him for something that he has a question for. That he might not know something about a certain play. You go to him about this play, and he'll tell him. I mean, you brought him in here for some reason, and I mean, you just got to lean on that wealth of knowledge, and it's going to benefit this team. I truly believe that. And real quick before we go to somebody else, Dan Morgan said something just a second ago that I did not really think about until now. But having Brad Isaac as offensive coordinator is going to give Canales an opportunity that if he sees a bad play or a guy that looks like he's down, what is Canales known for, y'all? He's an energy guy, right? He's a guy that he's a player's coach. So if a player comes off the field, he might have had a bad play. Canales is going to have the opportunity to go to that player and to actually talk to him, have the time to talk to him, and not have to worry about
a damn play sheet.
And not have to rush to go to another play. He don't have to wait to go to halftime in order to talk to his players. That I did not think about that until Dan Morgan's brought it up. And I'm loving that.
Right.
Pickle, let me get this out to you right quick, Pickle, because I want you to finish and then we'll watch the video. I think that's big with Canales because we're sold on the whole culture thing, and that's the type of coach he is. He'll have that time to spend with players in certain position groups if he sees they're struggling. And how much better of a head coach do you think he's going to be since that responsibility is kind of off on him? We don't need to act like he's not going to have his hand into the play calling. He's still going to have a say. He's just not going to be the one holding the damn play sheet on Sunday. But regardless, how much better of a head coach do you think that can make him? Because I think it's a great opportunity for him. It's not a spite or him doing anything wrong. This is good for him.
Absolutely. One thing about it, I heard Brad Isaac. Brad Isaac talked on several spots, and I watched a video of him talking, and he said, well, no, I'm sorry. I did watch Brad Isaac, but it was Bryce Young was asked about that. And Bryce Young said, what he liked it. He loved it. In fact, he said there were times they were in a meeting and they were talking about moving from one play calling to another play calling, trying to figure out some rhythm and some, as an organization does. And when Canales calls plays, he was having the meeting and Brad was there. Well, then somebody knocked on the door, and because Canales is the head coach, he had to walk out of the meeting and go to a different meeting, a different situation, and Brad had to step in to do it. And he said, Brad is our offensive coordinator, Bryce said. And people forget that an offensive coordinator does more than just call plays.
Sure. They work with the position groups as well.
Right. And Brad already does it. The players can now be more entwined with what they're seeing without having a 2 or 3 meetings to meet up with the coach. So the coach can actually handle situations on the field. We saw it ourselves. How many delay of games did we have? How many times did we get flagged for the team not being ready when now that Canales doesn't have to call plays and Bevel is with Brad, helping Brad move from one play to another. Canales, all he has to do is concentrate on being the head coach that we're paying him to be. And I think this is going to give us an easy 2 or 3 more wins just in itself, being a difference. A lot of people say, well, Brad's never called plays in real season. Well, I remember when Dave Canales never called plays. When Dave Canales was telling folks on the podium that he was going to let Brad Isaac call plays.
There you go, Pickle. I was just going to say that.
He mentioned the Tampa Bay Bucks head coach standing over there watching him, because that's exactly what he told him, that I'm ready. Let a guy have a chance. And listen, something happens and Brad can handle it.
He's got plenty of resources.
Bevel's standing there already familiar with the playbook, can step right in.
Yeah, he's on the mic too. He's got a headset on. I'm sure he's able to.
It's a good insurance policy. Yeah. It's a great insurance policy. That's all that is. I've been very happy with everything Dan said so far. D, you want to keep this rolling for us, or let's get to the end of this?
kind of navigating
been
the
a great
sideline
interview.
and talking to the defense, talking to the offense. But, when you're the play caller, you got to be in that play sheet and, you're fully focused on that. So it kind of takes you away from everything else.
Just to be clear, just to be clear, you never came up and said, Dave, would you?
No,
okay.
No, that is not me. That's not his decisions are his. Obviously, we talk about it before he does it, but yeah,
And another side of that is with Dom leaving. He's obviously a guru in a 3-4.
Yeah.
Dom had to turn his golf cart keys in, Pickle.
Is him leaving at all doing it? Maybe you guys want to be more versatile, or flexible and go into different defenses?
No, I think it's about just EJ has a good staff and guys that he has a lot of confidence in. So I think it's going to allow some of his staff to just kind of learn and keep helping him out and advance them, if you want to say. So I don't think it's so much about that as it is just giving other people opportunities to advance and help him out.
It sounded like you were saying that he will have more of a chance to impact players during games more so than working officials, timeouts,
both.
game management.
Yeah,
both. Okay.
Yeah, both. He'll be able to do all that.
Yeah.
Yell at the officials and just.
Was there a moment last year, I asked him this, where you were like, man, that would have been a good one to challenge, or if he weren't,
I'm not we'll talk about things, but I'm not one that's going to be like, why didn't you challenge this or why didn't you challenge that? So we just talk through things after the game, where we could have been better or, what we could have done differently. So we're always talking about ways to get better. So that's just another example.
Understanding that it was Dave's decision, what have you seen from Bradley that makes you feel confident that he's ready?
Yeah, I talk to him all the time just about, his offense, the offense and his philosophy and he's smart. He puts the work in. He's a grinder. And he gets along with all the players. He knows our players and he knows their strengths and weaknesses. So, yeah, I have confidence that him and his team are going to be able to put great game plans together and do well.
Great interview.
Wonderful interview. Wonderful.
One more thing about Brad is, if y'all don't mind, in a way, this is going to be his first time calling plays. In a way, I know it's kind of a worry, but it also has a strength to it. Other teams ain't gonna know his play calling. They don't have they don't have the eyes on that, so that could also be a benefit too. Because the other team defense has to plan for Brad is his play calling, and not having film on that, not having the plays to look at that he called, it could definitely benefit us.
Yeah, and a lot of folks don't. Is also could surprise because they don't know how good he can be, or bad he could be. They don't know that. I'm really excited about this move. I think it's a step forward.
Yeah, it's probably going to open some stuff up, and if you would close that screen out, Pickle. It just seemed
Thank
like
you
this
for playing that, Pickle.
This yeah, definitely. It seems more natural than what we were doing last year. It really did feel like there was too much on Dave Canales. Like I said before, the Panthers couldn't run a hurry up offense if they wanted to. We couldn't get the play call in fast enough. There was too many people in Dave's ear with him trying to run the team. You got to realize we took him as only a 1-year play caller, and we promoted him all the way to head coach, and he said, go do your thing. And we gave him a defensive coordinator, and he brought in his offensive staff and the special teams staff. And I still wish that the house had been cleared out and that it was everybody under Dave, everybody that Dave wanted. But at this point, Ejiro Evero is family to the Panthers. Clearly, the front office and everyone else feels that way, that Evero is family in this organization. And now Dave has his workout buddy Brad calling plays for him to take a little bit more off of him after holding his hand for 2 years. Let's just be honest about what happened. Dave said, Brad's my guy. Brad's my buddy. He's my best friend. He's my workout partner. He's going to be my offensive coordinator, and I'm going to hold his hand for 2 years. And then we're going to bring in a guy with like 20 years NFL experience that's called plays for over a decade in the NFL, even though he hasn't done it in like 5 or 6 years. And he's gonna hold Brad's hand now as I run this team. And I would think a lot of you guys that were critical of Dave Canales last year have to be highly supportive of this, extremely supportive of this. Because I would think that with the amount of experience that Bevel has behind Brad Idzik, that we're not going to be calling cute and funny stuff on 3rd and 4th down. That's not going to happen. It's going to be straightforward. It's going to make sense. It's going to be called like an NFL football game. At least I have that confidence. I hope you guys do too. Let me know.
Listen, Brad Idzik said, or Canales said that Brad Idzik is the one who reinforced running the football to him. Brad Idzik said that when he first went to work as a wide receivers coach with Tampa, it was Dave Canales who walked up to him and said, "Nope, I need you to help me out over here," and uh, drug him along with everything he does. They asked him about loyalty, about possible head coach sometime in the future. Brad was ultra loyal to Dave Canales. He said, "Dave is my best friend. He's taught me everything I knew." He said, "I can't be no more loyal to anybody in my life than Dave Canales." I I don't think Brad I don't think Brad Idzik has any dreams of becoming an NFL head coach. I don't think we need to worry about that for the next at least 4 or 5 years. I really don't think that should be a worry for anybody. Uh, I think
No,
That's a
hats
good
off to
take.
mine. Yeah,
right.
I
I
agree.
think yeah. I think Brad is going to be better than folks acknowledge. Not saying he won't have any hiccups, but I think he's going to be a lot better than people realize. I think he's going to call more of a balanced because it's all he's going to do, so he can concentrate on that. Where Dave couldn't concentrate on that.
Look, they said they brought Daryl Bevell in here to tell the Panthers how to run the football, Pickle. Literally,
Right.
I read that, and that was from a national media person. It wasn't from a local person. It was a national media person that said that. And it makes a lot of sense. How many times have you said on this show or on your own show that if Dave wants to do a pass happy offense, we'll just run it? Well, guess what? Well, now it's not in his hands. And if we want to run the ball, now we can run the ball more and be a run
Exactly.
team under Bevel and Izzy. So that might just be the case that we're moving towards. And who knows? We might even sign Rico Dowdle and go back with the same formula that we had this year. Because that's a heck of a running back room. 2 guys that are perfectly capable of getting 1,000 yards in the NFL. And it could be the direction we go. We'll just have to wait and see. But I would expect that it's not going to be the pass happy offense that we saw from Dave that really got a lot of fans upset with the play calling. I think it's going to be something a little more balanced as to what you were saying. I think you just hit the nail on the head.
Absolutely. Real quick, folks.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
While we in the middle of the show bring up something we were talking about earlier. Okay. Um, Folks, the reason why that we keep asking to like, comment, and subscribe is because we wanted to upgrade our streaming service to provide a better content.
So
We
I
want to
won't
get rid of
crash
the
just like I
banner,
did.
and so Cole won't crash. That happens quite regularly with emotes. Some folks are out there saying, "Well, you StreamYard, it's better." StreamYard don't provide me with 2 windows, so I can share it on YouTube and Twitter on the free plan. Okay, StreamYard is a great service, but with their free plan, I can share it to one site, and that's it. And I do enjoy sharing it to Twitter uh,
hmm
and
That's me too.
and YouTube. So, again, if we can like, comment, and subscribe to our content, we put out a lot of videos, a lot of clips. We we uh we can provide a better service and time. It increases the algorithms and it lets YouTube know, hey, they've got something going over here. and maybe someday in the future we can be monetized. But my man Diesel Skills can tell you all the stuff we got going on a weekly basis at the Blue Black Attack podcast.
Yes, sir. Tell them about it, Deez.
Yeah, we're chock full. We got tons of stuff going on. We got a Brotherhood edition video. I know it's been a minute, but we got one coming out. I'm gonna set it for Saturday, guys. It's already locked and loaded in the chamber, but from my experience of putting them out on Friday, it's not so great. So you can expect to see D Money again and the Brotherhood in full force in a video on Saturday morning when you get up. It'll be up and ready to go, waiting for you to watch. Make sure you watch the Brotherhood edition over the weekend. And welcome back our good friend and our patriot, former Marine, D Money. And then also next week, me and Jake are going to put up an Invaders video. We tried doing a little interactive something on Fridays. It didn't work out well, mainly because we're pressing Pickle to do 3 shows a week live, and that's a little bit much on anybody. I mean, Pickle does have a job and a life and a family and pets. He's got other things to do besides just talk Panthers football. So we're going to do Invaders as a one-on-one with me video session. And if somebody is listening to this and would like to come talk Panthers football and get it off your chest, what you want to say about this team, hit us up in the comments, and I'll set up a time. We'll get together. We'll shoot a video, and we'll put it out here on the channel for everyone. And we're going to call that Invaders Spotlight. So get ready. Those of you that are outside this tight network here of the BBA that want to get involved and put out some content about the Panthers, let me know. Hit us up in the comments. I'll get in contact with you. Or, of course, the best way to reach me is on X at DZillSkills there on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, just let me know on YouTube. I'll find you that way. I check the comments on here with my personal account. We'll find a way and set up a time that we'll get together and shoot an Invaders show together and let the fans be the judge of your hot takes. Maybe you've got good takes, maybe you don't. The comments and the chat and everything will let us know how they feel. Other than that, we crank out shorts all the time. I crank out at least 3 or 4 a week. Generally, I slowed down a little bit, but got really renewed this week. Excited about all this content with the combine going on and this Dan Morgan presser, because this Dan Morgan presser, all 3 of them really validated everything we've been screaming across the airwaves for the past 3 or 4 weeks, Cole. It's been an honor and a blessing to be a Carolina Panthers podcaster, and I thank you for letting me be a part.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you.
Cole.
Go ahead.
Folks need to remove their eyes off my lady, Lindsay. Now, you want to know who Lindsay is?
We're going to be respectful to Lindsay.
You got to watch the videos. You'll find out who Lindsay is.
A lot more coming from Lindsay. You better get ready.
Jake and Cole like to get their googly eyes, and I say stop. Now let's slow down.
The reason I wear my sunglasses a lot these days.
Yeah, that's what it is, man.
I might have to blame it on her. Jacob, what you got, my friend? And then I'll close us out for the evening.
No, I mean, I just thank everybody for joining. Thank everybody watching and liking and sharing the video. Appreciate every single one of y'all. You know, I love being a Panther podcaster. I love chilling with my boys. I love being able to do this for all of y'all. And, you know, I truly believe we got a great season coming soon. I believe we're going to have a great draft. Free agency is going to be unbelievable. Dan Moore is cooking y'all. You know, he's going to do his thing again. And I just can't wait till the season starts, man.
That's a great take. I think I'm just stuck in that thankful mode I'm always in when we get to these closures sometimes. It doesn't matter. It does matter, of course, to our numbers. But as far as effort-wise for me, if it's one person or a million people, I'm going to put out, and this team is going to put out as much as we can, the best as we can, and the most entertaining we can. And I think we're doing a good job of that. We're not new. The pod's new, and we're going to grow fast, and this is going to be a successful page. I'm really looking forward to the draft that's coming up soon. Free agency will kind of set us up for the draft, and we'll be a little bit more sharper on where we think we're going to go in the draft. Right now, I think we can just draw a big circle around linebacker potentially in the first round. That might change, but there's just a lot going forward that we're going to need to talk about, and I'm ready to go on this adventure with my boys. This has been the Cole Show on the Blue and Black Attack podcast. I appreciate everybody. Like, share, subscribe, please. We'll be right back with it on Monday. Look out for Deez's videos this weekend. Jacob, I appreciate you. Pickle, I appreciate you. Deez, you are the hardest working man in show business. I appreciate you every single week. Somebody hit the music. Let's get up out of here.
Light on the Brotherhood. Success we knew we would. Go light on the Brotherhood. Success we knew we would. Go trail. We were training our fight. Hard tipped and bit. We fought so well. Ourselves to glory. Blue and black got tail. Go light side and drown. The Brotherhood prevails. Balls in the storm. Keeping each other warm. The lighthouse God's our way. Go light shining every day. From team to team to the playoffs we made. From bench quarterback to division parades. Bryce and T-Mac, the future looking bright. The Brotherhood watching through the darkest night.
Keep pounding.